Episode 10, Podcast 11.
So confusing. Welcome to the Nuff Said Podcast. This is episode 11, The Bridge. You like that read on that, Jack?
Oh, that's very nice.
Thank you. I've been working on it for a whole, 10 seconds?
Well played, sir. Well played.
I don't even think it was 10 seconds. You know what? Let's introduce ourselves. I've got a good one here. Hold on. I am Raniform Rob Southgate, and with me is...
Okay, let me stop you right there. What is raniform?
Raniform, the definition of that would be frog-like.
Frog-like.
So I am Raniform.
I think I might have to be jealous Jack again, just because.
No, I don't think so. You didn't
I'm jealous. I'm jealous that you came up with the word raniform.
Well, you know what? We'll work on this. We'll see if we can't get you something good for the end of the show. How's that?
Oh, sounds good. But, I have to say, I think I'm a little jealous because not only is that a good word, but I've never even heard of it.
Well, there you go.
All right.
You go. So I win.
So speaking of the end of the show, how do we get there?
You know what? I just thought of one for you. How about I actually looked it up. I cheated, but this is a good one. A janitrix. You're Janitrix Jack Wingorowski.
It sounds like a female janitor.
That's exactly what it is.
Good Lord. Now, see, I could be the janitor, the superhero.
Already you're talking about Charlie, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Just like with She-Hulk, there could be a female version, and that would be the Janitrix.
That could be. How about Jowl, Jack Wingorowski?
We have a winner.
There we go.
So, are you looking up the interesting words that begin with J?
I am.
That's exactly what I typed in. Well, I typed in R, and that's how I came up with Raniform. So, Looks like we've got quite the list to work from. Everything from coarse and scraping, raspy scales, chafy scales on plants, to dead tree decay, and all sorts of fun things.
Very nice.
How about electric catfish? That would be a rad.
Except for the phrase, that would be rad.
Yeah. Well, maybe it has a whole new meaning.
That could be. Maybe that's rad, like that's radioactive.
Dude, that is Electric Catfish. That's the name of my band, the Electric Catfish.
I like that. Now, is that your fake real band or your real fake band?
That would be my really fake band, I think, because I do have my fictitious sci-fi tribute band called Starlog.
Okay, I guess I was getting that confused.
But maybe the first album could be really rad with 2 A's because it's really an Electric Catfish band.
Really? I like that.
Yeah, we are going down the rabbit hole now.
All right, well, speaking of the rabbit hole, they finally dealt with Coulson's death. Or got us closer.
Yeah, kind of. Actually, I was going to talk about that because at the end, when it showed the preview for the second half of the season, they clearly are going to deal with Coulson's death. They said you're going to get answers. They showed him laying dead. I mean, they were dropping all sorts of hints that this is going to get resolved, or at least talked about soon. And then when they showed that preview for the second half, it was like, okay, they're definitely jumping right into that, which is good. They need to get past that. They need to not have that be like an ongoing mystery because it's not that great a mystery. No. You just want to know.
We've already seen him die. It's not like there's a big cliffhanger there. I mean, he's already come back from the dead and we know it. I think we just need to find out that maybe Tahiti isn't such a magical place.
No, I think it's going to be magical.
Well, we'll find out after the
season. Some kind of magic happened that brought him back.
And I guess that's why, of course, we've been talking about Centipede the entire time, and they've been hinting, episode after episode, and, even back to, where did they get that first theme? And you're like, well, yeah, from... the exploding soldier from the movie, which was the centipede. So they're the ones trying to find out what happened to Coulson, because I think they're trying to figure out, they're superhuman, and maybe Coulson's closer than what everybody
he's
thinks.
Maybe further along the process.
Yeah.
Or they used something in him. I might have it. Whatever they used to bring him back or to stabilize him might be the key ingredient to stabilizing these guys that they're putting in the centipede in.
Right.
And for whatever reason, these guys know. Now, it might be the clairvoyant, whoever that is, that knows.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely... I think we're going to definitely see him pretty soon.
Yeah, the clairvoyant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Although... I'm going to bring up something that's been bugging me, and I think I've talked about this before, but it really got strong here again, where it was just bothering me. They keep saying that clairvoyants don't exist.
But we clearly know they do.
Yeah, I mean, once again, and they even said it in here, we're living in a world with Thor. So... why is this so bizarre that you can't grip onto this, that clairvoyance may exist?
Well, I think it's that scientific, maybe not science fiction, but that scientific mentality they've written in for Fitz and Simmons, where they had that exchange, well, this can't exist, can it? Well, can it? No, it can't, because it's not science. And the whole, like, the last episode before this talking about religion. Well, it can't because there's science. And I think they're mixing up a little bit of science fiction with science. And obviously, in real life science, I don't think you could really prove or disprove clairvoyance. The studies that have been always seem to be refuted as fast as they come. However, in science fiction, you can't do that. Obviously, you have people reading minds and gods, gods which are clearly aliens that do not see themselves as gods, just life forms far, far away.
Right.
But each of them have very specific odd powers. To change visual perception, to control lightning and power, and
right, all the things that we're seeing these guys do.
Right.
But you're saying that they're not seeing outside of their science box.
Right. And are they writing that in, or are they trying to keep their...
Well, I think that they're doing that because I think that they're trying to... I think that we're going to have to confront it in the second half of this season. I think that they've been saying, no, it doesn't exist. And as soon as it does, they're going to make that be some kind of game changer. Personally, I don't think it's that big a game changer. I think that it exists. I mean, there's mutants. There's all sorts of stuff going on. And in fact, this is the Marvel Universe. And even though they're owned by different studios, the X-Men and Professor Xavier exist in some way here.
Right. And I think
no, they are rejecting that like it doesn't exist at all, because that would have we're already outside of that timeline, and we're going to have to pretend that doesn't exist. But the roots of those characters are going to be there. They are in this.
And I just hope it doesn't become like the X-Files where, the girl like goes through the entire series still not believing into the movie, and I've repeated this in a previous show. However, she gets burped out of the alien...
That's okay, Jack. We're not listening to you anyway.
Yeah, well, she gets burped out of the alien ship and still, like, I think you're a little crazy on this one, man. So, yeah, we know of the clairvoyant. We know that there's these characters and there's superpowers. I'm thinking this has to be a storyline where, this is going to be the entrance for the clairvoyant. This can't exist. Oh, yeah? Well, look at, look at this character here, which, maybe they're setting him up for a really big intro.
Sure. Well, I think they are. I really think they are. And I think that, I also think that we saw an important character tonight, even though in the Marvel database he doesn't exist. But I think that Poe is going to be important. I think that we saw the seeds of a supervillain again tonight when he was so cool, when they broke into that prison and he was just sat there coolly waiting for it to happen. And then he says, he's telling him, you didn't call me sir, basically. That to me showed, arrogance. It showed, I don't know. It was like that over-the-top thing that only a supervillain would have.
Right, and it kind of harks back to Magneto, where he's not just the professor. He's like, as soon as he gets these powers, he's decided he's going to fix mankind.
Yes.
And not in the good way like
he's
the X-Men.
savior.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely thought that this guy's ego was, maybe he's Ego Man. Thanks, Ego Man.
I like obvious.
That's a reference to, you may not know this one, and most of our listeners probably won't know this one, but there is, those really terrible, like, Victory Auto Wreckers and those, like, really bad commercials for really low-rent businesses.
Uh-huh.
The local stuff. Well, there's one here in Chicago that used to be on, and it was my favorite. It was for Eagle Insurance, and it would have these two girls that they boy, how do I say this delicately? Wrong side of the tracks, maybe found in the gutter. Not. I'm not really going to be very delicate with this. They were pretty trashy, and they would stand there and you see like something happen to their car and they look up and they go, oh no. And then this eagle, a guy in an eagle costume, lands on the car and it kind of, he lands and he goes, leave everything to me. And he sits down and craps out an egg. And they go, oh, look at those low rates. Yeah. Which I would always go, it's Eagle Man. What's he doing having an egg? Did they not check him when he was coming into the country to see if there was anything hidden up there? Because clearly he wasn't birthing no eggs.
Well, that's like parrots. There's no absolute way to tell if a parrot is male or female until you see till the egg pops.
Till the egg pops.
But I tell you, my favorite character of all time is Captain Obvious.
Well, that's you, isn't it?
Absolutely, but he was a real character. His motto was hindsight is 2020.
Where is he from?
Oh God, I can't remember. It's like I almost want to say it was one of those old Saturday Night Live little cartoon shorts. But it was kind of like, if you tell me which evil scientist has stolen your brain, I can rescue you. Or
great, Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Or after the whole episode is done, Captain Obvious flies in and says, you shouldn't have done that. Thanks, Captain Obvious. If it wasn't for you, we would have never known that.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know what that's from.
Yeah,
but,
I'm gonna have to look. Let's see.
Yeah, actually, there was another one that I used to talk about a lot on. I shouldn't say it that way. I still talk about it a lot. I talk about a lot of crap a lot. Let's just put that right out there for everybody. But there used to be a show called Fridays, and that was on in the 70s. It was kind of a reaction to Saturday Night Live. The other channel, like CBS, decided we're going to put a show on Fridays. And, it's where I think that Kramer came from there. The guy that played Kramer, Michael Richards.
Right.
He was on there, I believe. I could be completely wrong about that. Tough. But anyway, they did one where they had this like bank robbery scene going on, and in comes the superhero to stop, and it's a guy dressed in a skunk suit. And he's, put down those weapons. And they're like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm telling you to put down the weapons. And everybody's just like, you're just like a skunk. Get out of here. What are you, skunk man? He's like, exactly. And then finally he's like, well, I do have one superpower. And he turns around and sprays them. And they're all like, oh, get out of here. Oh, you're the worst superhero ever. I loved that. I thought that was hilarious. And I've often talked about that, and I sadly still do. And I just did it here.
Actually, I'm
Captain
looking,
Obvious.
There's an actual little Captain Obvious comic book, but I think the one that I was quoting was from South Park.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
that's a surprise.
This went on like a whole like weird tangent. We got from the show to Captain Obvious back to South Park. I don't know how that happened exactly.
Well, it's what happens on this show.
Yeah.
So where were we? Oh yeah. Well, so Poe. I think Poe is going to be an important character.
You're Poe.
I am Poe. I'll be Poe in a couple of weeks.
You're Dirt Poe.
Yeah. Thanks, Eagle Man. Look at those low rates.
All right.
We did see Mike Peterson again in this episode, which I thought was great, and I was scared the whole episode that they were going to just bring him back to kill him, and it looked like that was going to happen all the way until the end.
Right. And that brings another thing is wasn't he was the Coulson's backup, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he was his backup. What do you mean?
Well, didn't they kind of? Well, wasn't he the one kind of going in? Well, I don't know how to say this. Well, one thing I noticed.
Try using English. That helps.
Right.
Captain Obvious.
I guess it seems like, well, Victoria. When Victoria Hand came in.
Right.
And she seems like.
Wait. Victoria Hand was in another episode. You mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's returning in an up.
Right. She's going to be in the second half of the season.
Right. I wonder if she'll kind of leave Coulson kind of in the lurch again. She was very. I guess this was a long way off a short pier, but when we see her again, is she going to leave kind of Coulson behind without backup? Are we going to see like Mike Peterson or, somebody kind of save his butt again? Because I think S.H.I.E.L.D. sees this team as totally expendable, which doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, you're losing me in a big way. Wait a minute. We were talking about Mike Peterson, and then you said Coulson was going to be his backup, and then you went off about how they're going to just let Coulson like he's expendable.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know.
What is your thought here? Are you thinking, wait, I might be able to untangle this a little bit. We're going to try. This is going to be a new game, a new segment on the show, Untangle Jack's Thoughts. I had a little theme song for you there, too.
Yeah,
so
I would copyright that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be valuable. That'll be like Happy Birthday. Every time somebody says something that nobody can understand, they'll just start saying ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba.
I think we should just go back to Poe.
Well, that's a Poe excuse for a transition, and we're not going to do it.
Oh, well, thank you.
So okay, I'm going to try to untangle this because I do think that I know what you're talking about here.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, okay, then let me just try, because if this isn't it, then at least it's another idea. But are you thinking that it was a little bit of a setup? Like not even a setup, but S.H.I.E.L.D. knew that it would flush out the Centipede group, and they're willing to let Coulson go in order to do that, because we know that the Centipede group was interested in this S.H.I.E.L.D. team. Are you saying that was something that S.H.I.E.L.D. knew, or
yes, I think that S.H.I.E.L.D. knew, and I think Victoria Hand kind of handed them.
Victoria hand them over.
I didn't even think about that pun, but that's where I think this is going. Is they're kind of, I don't know, putting these guys such in the front line, but really kind of like, oh, here you go.
Like just serving them up over and over.
Yeah, I mean it's already happened once. Why not do it again?
Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily is what was going on here. I don't know. I kind of think that they're leaving them to their own devices, and I think that Coulson brought Peterson in kind of to have a superhero on staff for himself. And I think when everything turned, I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. was involved in that in any way. I think S.H.I.E.L.D. would have really liked to get their hands on Rihanna, I think that's how you say her name, the girl in the flower dress, and those super soldiers. So I don't think they would have actually let that kind of mission go with these guys.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
So, yeah, I mean, even though I think I untangled what you were trying to get at, I really don't agree with that. I don't think that's what was happening, but, who knows? You are the janitrix, and you may be cleaning things up here, so.
Well, yeah, easy for you to say.
No, it was horrible.
I was being
Mel Tillis.
I was being sarcastic. I wasn't actually being complimentary.
Oh, I know you were. I make so many Mel Tillis references on these podcasts. I'm sure nobody even remembers who this guy was, but he stuttered all the time, and he was famous for being a guy that could stutter, and then he would sing in his normal voice.
Mel Tillis.
Yes.
Mel Tillis.
Right. So I made another Mel Tillis reference. I think I'm batting 1,000 on those. I've hit it on almost every podcast in the last 4 weeks. So it's like a drinking game. When I mention Mel Tillis, drink, but you got to make sure you spill a little on yourself because he's a stutterer. So
there you go. And Barry Little hasn't even made an appearance yet.
No, but he is going to possibly be on somebody's Christmas show.
The Christmas show. Oh, that should be.
We're not going to talk about it.
I didn't talk about it.
It's just going to be a surprise. It's going to show up on somebody's feed, and yeah. Okay, let's get out of that. Let's get out of that thing. So we see Coulson driving Lola again. That was fun, but no flying. I thought for sure Lola was going to fly when they said, "Oh, we've got to go this distance in this short amount of time. We're pretty far." And I thought for sure he was going to where we're going, we don't need roads, and off. But that didn't happen.
Probably it was similar to Indiana Jones, where in the scene, and they're in the hot desert, and the guy with rips out the swords, and he's and they didn't have enough money.
Well, that was theater of the mind, Jack. Very nice.
Thank you. I've listened to a lot of radio. The Shadow do. So they, there was supposed to be this whole big elaborate fight scene, but Indy in real life actually had dysentery. Yes. And so instead of doing this whole scene, he just whipped out the pistol and shot him. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe they just ran out of money, or maybe Coulson got the trots, and so instead of having Lola fly, they're like, "Well, we can't do that. Just have her drive off."
Well, wouldn't it be more like the CG guys? You know what? I in your terms, I've got the trots. I don't have time to make this car fly. Let's just let's just get on with this thing. And I'm not going to do my whole whip dance. Forget it.
That's right. I think you're onto something there.
Oh, I think I'm on something. Oh, you said on to something.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
On the porcelain throne there or something.
Yes. So I'm disappointed we didn't see Lola fly, but it was cool to see Lola. I love that car. I think it's really cool. I did love a line. I don't know. I had a line that I just thought I wrote down, and then I look at it and I'm like, why did I write this down? But I liked it. I loved when Coulson said to Peterson, "You need to suit up."
Yeah.
When he said that, I'm like, they're going to give him a superhero suit. And then he walked in his S.H.I.E.L.D. suit. And I was like, okay, that was pretty good. And then at the end, I thought his suit, it lacked the style that the movie suits have and that the, full-blown character suits have. But it reminded me, once again, talking X-Men, it reminded me a little bit of the suits that the X-Men wore, those black leather suits from the movie.
Yeah.
So I thought, kind of cool. And, if they let that suit kind of evolve into something, I think we got a pretty cool looking superhero going here.
Then that could be the Suit.
The Suit. That's going to be his superhero name, the Suit?
Yeah, his superpower is he comes out of the closet wearing a suit.
Well, that's a different superpower. So
the Suit and the janitor.
Yes. They're both in the closet. So I thought that was pretty cool, that outfit. When they stabbed him, to me, that was That's where I thought it was going to jump the shark, actually, the episode. And you know what? I didn't say this at the beginning, but this really was one of my favorite episodes so far. It feels like the show is getting better. And I hope that people are giving it a chance, and I hope that they're with it. That being said, when they stabbed Peterson, I thought it jumped the shark, and I didn't want to give it another chance because I was so mad. I was like, really? You're just going to bring this guy back for a second round and kill him? It was way too obvious, Captain Obvious. But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So it won me back, and by the end of the episode, I was like, that was awesome. I loved it. I loved the whole ending. I thought the thing was really cool. I thought the cliffhanger was great. That was actually what they need to do. You want to fix this show, here's two things to keep in mind. Keep aggressively building mythology.
Mm-hmm.
This show needs that. If it's superhero of the week, lame duck story of the week, none of that is going to fly, and I think that's what's turned people off. This has to go mythology of S.H.I.E.L.D. and of this team. We need to get answers, but there's got to be overarching myth, which is what we're seeing with some of this stuff, but we need it to move at a little different pace. And so that's one thing, is you got to get that myth stuff going, got to build that way. And you know, they're going to have the tag at the end of each one. That's what they've said, is that's kind of the thing, just like with the movies.
Right.
You need to serialize this. You need to have like a cliffhanger or a something that propels you into that next episode. Because when this one ended, I was like wanting the next episode to come on immediately. And I was watching it with my daughter Molly, and okay, granted she's 6, but we're pretty close to the same mentality. And she, that's actually, I think, a compliment to her, but it might just be an insult to me. She said, right away, she was like, that's a cliffhanger. They can't do that. We have to wait then. And I said, yeah, Mal, that's how it works. We got to wait till January 7th.
That's what a cliffhanger is there, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, but I don't want that to be the trend that, okay, we're going to take our mid-season break. Now we have a cliffhanger. I want to see more of that. I want to see aggressive mythology building and cliffhangers that propel you into the next episode, because it is a single story. They're trying to build a single story out of this. Well, then there's no reason not to have something that ends where you go like, we've been watching the show The Killing. We're doing a podcast about The Killing. And at the end of every episode, the last maybe minute of it or 2 minutes is like a montage where it takes the 3 or 4 story threads and you see a little something, a little something, a little something. Usually there's not a lot of dialogue. It's just showing you these quick cuts, and they kind of intersperse them. And what it does is, for most every episode, when that happens, it creates that cliffhanger where you're just like, what is going to happen? Even if the episode was one of these, you know, like there was one which was about the funeral, and it was really difficult to watch, and really the story didn't move very much during that episode. It was a great episode, don't get me wrong, but it didn't move a lot.
Yeah.
But it had a cliffhanger. When it got to that last couple seconds, it was funny because we were watching it. And what we do is we watch an episode and then we record, and then that's it for that night. We try not to do 2 episodes in a night or whatever. It's hard to do, and you also lose a little momentum. Okay, we cheated. We went ahead and watched the first 15 minutes of the next episode because that cliffhanger was so good. And then we made a deal that we won't do that again. Because it didn't take anything away from the podcast, but it took something away from us, because when we watched it the next night, we're like, oh, now I got to take notes about this, and we already know. I want to get to see what happens next.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, that's what this show needs. And this tonight proved that to me.
Yeah, that's the same kind of thing I had with the Sleepy Hollow. And I had...
No, we just started a podcast about Sleepy Hollow. We have a new one called Headless.
Yeah, I will actually have to be checking that out, because I had kind of gotten away from the show just because of my schedule. And so I've been catching up online. quite a bit on Hulu Plus, and a little advertisement there.
Yeah, and maybe they could be a sponsor of this whole network. That would be a really smart idea on their part.
It would. We could really push that. And
Jen, wait, before you go on, I just got to say something. Oh no, go ahead. And then we got to talk about Hulu Plus for a minute.
All right. So, but that's exactly what happened to me the other night. Instead of watching like one episode, I watched 3 because the cliffhangers. They kept me going. All I wanted to do was just get to that, just see the beginning of the next episode because I was dying to find out what would happen.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I read about that show originally, I had 2 very conflicting thoughts about it. I read the description of the show, and the first thought I had was, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible.
It did.
Wait. It did seem... I would tell people this, because Martha and I were talking, Martha, my wife, we were talking about what shows we want to bring to the network, because she and I are the, partners on this. And I said, look, I think there's something with this Sleepy Hollow. And I would tell her, I'm like, it might be one of the all-time worst shows on, or it might be like this weird genre awesome. I watched the first episode. That's all I've seen so far. I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm going to go back and I'm going to just power through it because I can tell it's that kind of show. 5 minutes into it, I knew it was genre awesome.
It is, and they're doing. So let me tie that back into Marvel, and I think what Marvel has done is, they're building the storyline, but in each episode they haven't answered any of the questions. They just keep posing new ones. And now you can't bring in a superhero.
Lost did that though. Lost would take its time, and people get frustrated with it. But you know what? You go back and watch those Lost episodes; they're still awesome.
Yeah, and
so they did keep that going. But at some point, you got to start flipping the cards. Now they may be too early to flip cards that way, but I think they're not building enough questions. Maybe like double the amount of questions and flip over some cards each time.
Yeah, that would be good because I just want them to answer. They've just gone so many that I've forgotten some of the questions.
Yeah. You know what? There were things that were referenced tonight, and now I can't even remember them because we've talked about so much other stuff, but there were things that were referenced tonight that definitely I didn't remember from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Little subtle things where I was like, wait, did we see that? Or are they just talking about that? I'm like, no, wait, I remember this happened. But it was things that, maybe they went too long without readdressing those, or maybe they spent too much time addressing things that didn't matter.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to go back to episode 2 from episode 10 to go, I think they talked about it. But
yeah, it was kind of the Mike Peterson stuff. There was some of that I was a little bit like, what are they doing? And that was episode 1 that they haven't even in any way addressed since then.
And, I don't know that we have to kind of cater to the new American kind of attention deficit disorder watching. But I do think, if we get at least answer a couple of the big questions after the big break here, I think that'll be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's going to happen. I think that final preview was leading us that way. There's no way. Well, we saw the preview already. We know that Ward isn't dead. Molly went, oh, Ward's dead. When that happened, I'm like, there's no way Ward's dead. It looked like he might have a scar, though. They might have de-prettied him a little bit, which, I don't know. That might be a good thing. It might not matter. Who knows?
Yeah, that might be for the girls because, it's like, yeah, okay, scar.
Yeah, give him the scar. Oh, yeah, now he's a bad boy. So they left us with that. The big cliffhanger, they left us with a couple, but the big cliffhanger was Coulson getting taken and all that's going to come out of that. And I do think that we're not done with Peterson. I'm really glad they brought him back, and I hope that, you could easily make him your hero on staff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good one because there is going to be... Okay, so they tried to build... I've got 2 thoughts going on at once. Can you tell? They tried to build that with Skye, where okay, well, she betrayed the group, and now there's a little, conflict here, but that's already washing away pretty quickly. But this guy, he shot at him. Even if he does things as a hero, now he gave up Coulson. There's going to be negativity around him, even though as viewers were watching him going, no, this guy's just trying to do the right things. He had a problem in the beginning because he was crazy from the centipede stuff.
Right.
And now he's trying to make the right moves, but his teammates are not necessarily going to interpret it that way.
No. But
so let's get him on board. Let's put him on that plane as like a ticking time bomb.
Oh, that'll be fun. And, they can do anything. That's not a character anybody owns. That's really...
Right, that's a unique character to this.
To this TV show, and they can do whatever they want with it.
Well, like I've said, I think that this is a good ground for creating a few of those originals like that, maybe taking some super B-level Marvel characters and putting them on screen in some way, and even taking, the B-level, I think I said B-level. I mean, you could take like H-level Marvel heroes and throw them on here, and it's kind of interesting. Like, oh, it's cool to see them. But take those B-level heroes, like I said, Red She-Hulk, and put them in here and see what happens. I think that could be really cool.
You've got such a thing for Red She-Hulk, admit it.
You know what? It's because I'm reading that comic, and I actually like it. I like what's going on there, and I like Green She-Hulk, too. And you know what? I never cared about those characters in any way until I started reading those Marvel Nows. And I actually look forward to the issues with those characters in them. So it's kind of funny. There was another one that I was going to mention today because I read... Oh, I know what I read. I have been reading through the Superior Spider-Man series, and I'm telling you, anyone out there that's looking to get somebody a Christmas present, they might be a Spider-Man fan, get this. See if you can get, like, I don't know if there's a collection. I'm sure there is of, like, the first, 10 issues or something already. If not, go in and see if you can pick up these issues. Here's the idea. And there may be a lot of people listening that already understand this and know this, but it was new to me when I started reading these Marvel Nows just before we started doing this show. I had fallen off with some of those books, and I've gone back and I'm just really reading through as much of the Marvel Universe as I can, and I'm reading these. So here's the idea, Jack. Spider-Man, and somehow Peter Parker's no longer Spider-Man. He has died, but he's kind of in limbo. Mm-hmm. And Doc Ock has taken over his body and is Spider-Man. And that's why he's the superior Spider-Man. And it's interesting because Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is still in there. And he's like, Doc, what are you doing to my body? What are you doing? I'm going to find my way back, and I'm going to have to fix all this stuff. But at the same time, Doc Ock is doing some interesting things. Like, he's doing things that are borderline bad guy, like bad guy mentality. Like he to monitor the city, and he's trying to be Spider-Man. He's trying to do these good things, but they're like with a touch of crazy. So like he makes these little spider robots that he puts everywhere. I mean everywhere, to monitor everything in the city. That way, if like at one point there's this bad guy that killed somebody, and he says, well, obviously I have to take care of this. And Peter Parker's like, what are you doing? You're doing these other things. Why aren't you dealing with this bad guy? He's going to kill again. And then his little spiders give him the notice that he's at this place, and he just goes off to do it. And Peter Parker's going, oh, that's genius. Like, I could have solved like 10 times the amount of crimes had I taken this approach. But is it necessarily the ethical approach? Yes, you're stopping crime, but you're also invading people's privacy, and there's a lot of weirdness there.
Right.
So I'm just totally enjoying it. It's called the Superior Spider-Man. I think it's the only Spider-Man title going right now. I can't recommend it enough. I'm just really enjoying it. And I'm not caught up to the newest issues. I'm let's see, I'm in week, I think 17 of the Marvel Nows, which there are 52 weeks, I think, so far. So sometime, at the beginning of the next year, I will be completely caught up on Marvel Nows. Cool. And then I won't be talking in the past. But I got to say, if you're a comic book fan or you just like this stuff, check out the series. The Marvel Now books are really good. The ones that I just really go for are Superior Spider-Man. I'm really enjoying that. I've loved the Thor series. I was never a Thor fan, and I'm reading this series, like it's one of the best things I've ever read. I just am loving it. That was probably an overstatement. But I am really, really loving it. And Hawkeye is another one. You know what? And I'm actually enjoying Iron Man, even though the character, I don't like how they draw him in it. There's something about his face. There's something that rubs me the wrong way. So every time I'm reading it, I'm like, just suit up, because I'm not really liking his looks. But I really like the story, and it's been pretty cool. And then one that I read the first issue of, because the movie's coming out, was Guardians of the Galaxy. And you know what? First issue completely had me. I am down with that movie. I am ready for it to happen. Let's wrap up this show, and then we can talk about news and other things here. So what else happened in this episode that we need to address?
Let me check my notes. Mike Peterson's return. All the questions.
Ace is safe, his son. You know what? Here's something I want to address. I don't care about Sky's backstory. I don't care who the parents are.
Yeah, I think
it's kind of irritating.
Yeah, they're kind of losing me on that too.
It's just kind of irritating. It's one of those that we talk about flipping over the cards. Flip over the cards. Just, you know what? If Coulson's the dad, Coulson's the dad. If May is the mom, May is the mom. I don't care.
Yeah, and I don't think first off, I don't think either one of them is old enough.
No, I don't think so either.
To portray something like that. But
no,
the secret
could be.
The secret better be pretty damn good. Otherwise, they're just messing with her just because, it's not, a level 7 kind of, thing. But yeah, at this point, it's not that integral to the series in the long run, I don't think. But if it is, boy, the payoff better be good.
Okay, so here's what I think. This is why I say I don't care, too. Because they're not giving me enough. You just hit the nail on the head, because you're saying, you don't know. It's just, there's not enough meat to it. I think they need to let us in as viewers as to what's going on a little bit, and she can remain in the dark, so that when the reveal happens to her, it's a killer.
Yeah, I agree.
Or it's you can let us in or give us some speculation, because right now the only speculation is Coulson's maybe her dad, maybe May is involved somehow. Who cares? But I'll tell you what I'm thinking it may be.
Yes,
is we may find out that she is the daughter of a big bad.
Well,
so somebody who has done wrong. She is somehow the daughter of, the Red Skull, and, something like, it's not going to be the Red Skull, but something like that, where you go, oh, now she has to live with this, knowing that her dad is a supervillain, and it's driving her to do good.
I don't really think so, because really, she has no knowledge of this, so that couldn't be maybe.
What do you mean she has no knowledge of?
Well, she really has no knowledge of what happened to her parents. So, unless the sudden knowledge would say, "Oh, I have to use this for good," that she's already kind of in the situation. She's wanting to join S.H.I.E.L.D. She's wanting to. Kind of help.
Right. But has this been a little bit manipulated by S.H.I.E.L.D. or by Coulson? There's that possibility.
Well, it seemed like that
I almost don't care. I just want him. I want him to make me care about it.
Right, and that's the thing is there's no leverage, and obviously May, May doesn't even seem like, in previous episodes there's no evidence of, well, are they going to tell, she knows something, but are you going to tell her? And it almost seemed a little bit of a surprise to Coulson when he sees the file. So I think it's a little bit out of, they have knowledge of it, but I don't think they really kind of, Coulson didn't even know the story until he looked at the file and goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, tie it into something, because they're almost losing me on S.H.I.E.L.D. altogether, because she just kind of seems like the conscience of the group.
Well, and you know what? It's funny because for the first, 7 episodes, she was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Other than Coulson. I think Coulson's awesome, but she was the one that she kind of anchored it and was like, okay, there's an interesting story here, but it's getting less and less interesting. Once again, I don't think it has anything to do with the actress. I'm liking her. I think she does a good job with what she's given, and she's certainly not hard on the eyes, but I just don't care. They got to make me care about this story, or they got to get rid of it. Just flip it over, let her have her Falcon Crest moment. Oh no, so-and-so's my mom, and then move on.
Yeah. Well, look at the very beginning. They don't know what to do with her. At first, she just about rocked the whole team with what she did in that little van, and now she's like the junior Boy Scout in training and always on the back end of the stick, although she shows a lot of promise. Don't forget, in that first episode, she kicked their ass.
Yeah, I really don't need the rookie story to go on much longer.
No, it's getting tiresome.
That's, I think, what that's coming down to. I just don't need it.
Especially knowing what she did in that first episode with a fraction of the technology.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, I think they kind of got Ward and May-itis.
Right.
Oh, we need to make him tougher. We need to give him a scar. We need to make him 007. Oh, we need to make we
need to give Skye some backstory that makes it a little more interesting. Guess what? She had an interesting backstory.
Right.
And we don't need this. And if this is leading to something, which, you know what, it very well could be. We could be saying this, but 4 weeks from now, we could be going, oh, it's so awesome what they did with her parents, and that all made sense. Get there, though. We need this. We need it to go somewhere. Because I actually feel, especially after that last episode, I thought they did a great job. They gave us the story with May, and now that backstory is there. Like, I'm watching her tonight, and she didn't have a lot to do. She just came in and was I'm tough May. But you know what? There was more to her because of the way they did that. They didn't let these little things linger and play this game.
Right. Is she going to be able to do her job? Is just, what's up with her past? And okay,
right.
They kind of ruffled the feathers of her past a little bit, kind of rustled the leaves, and of course, okay, back to business as usual.
Right. Right. And yeah, and I'm getting frustrated because I want to care, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's funny,
it's kind of like Ace. I liked Mike Peterson, but I didn't care about his kid. And when his kid was taken, I was like, oh no. And then I was like, maybe they don't give him motivation. Like, I just don't really care about that story so much.
Right. How many times did we have to listen to about the cavalry? Oh, she doesn't like to be called that.
Right. And once they flipped that over, it's been great.
Yeah.
For me.
Answer like you say, let's throw out some more questions, but let's answer a few of them.
Throw out a lot of questions. Yeah. Really, like not ridiculous or anything, but Like, double what you're doing on questions. That way you can flip over answers and really work on a mythology.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And I think they're headed that way. I really do. And I'm not, I'm not actually, I'm sounding frustrated by the series, but it's only because I just don't care about that Sky storyline, and I think it's muddy.
Yeah, I want to see her back on the level that she was.
Yes.
Quit dumbing her down. She's not a rookie, So
yeah, get over that. Just be done with that. We don't need that storyline of the rookie.
So
you know what? Her rookie things can be like mistakes in the field, little things that you go like, oh my gosh, okay, But then she could redeem herself by jumping on the computer and like hacking away, and they go, oh, wait a minute, let her have her, for lack of a better phrase, superpower, and use it. But don't make the rest of it dopey.
Yeah, and I think when Wheaton kind of when he listens to our show every night, he's really going to take a lot from this.
Right. Oh, I'm sure he's listening. I'm sure anybody at Marvel is listening. The only person who might listen is Stan Lee because he thinks we might mention his name.
Stan Lee.
See? Hi, Stan.
Oh, wait, I just got an email. Cease and desist.
Stop talking about me. I love my name in the media, except on Nuff Said.
Wait, Mike Peterson's at my door with a message.
Yeah.
This broadcast has been brought to you by...
He just left you ace. Aw, really?
Boo.
Thanks.
Left an ace on my doorstep.
That's no ace. That's Deuce, his brother. So, Jack, let's talk about the news. Let's move on. This was
all right. Tell me something new.
Huge superhero news week, which it seems like we're getting a lot of these Fast and Furious because, let's face it, it seems like everything has a superhero in it. Am I complaining? Not one bit. So this week we heard, well, a big one is they've already announced what the next X-Men movie is. Now, the new X-Men movie doesn't come out until next year, the Days of Future Past. They've already announced that Bryan Singer is going to direct the next one. They're going to do the Age of Apocalypse. Now, this is something this was a storyline that was in X-Men in the 80s, just like Days of Future Past. I've mentioned on here before, I didn't read a lot of X-Men back then, even though I really appreciated it. There were too many titles, and there were like 4 Spider-Man titles, and it was too much. I was reading Spider-Man and Daredevil, and I'd pick up an occasional X-Men, occasional Punisher. There was too much X-Men going on. But since then, I've gone back and reread these. Now, the storyline that I did read every month while it was happening was Age of Apocalypse. And I absolutely loved it. And when I think back then, like, I would read this and think, oh my gosh, someday they could make a movie out of this. It's never going to happen, but someday. And here we are. They've announced they're doing Age of Apocalypse. This is like every X-Men fan's dream. It's such a great story. So this is awesome, awesome news. Now, we also had Hugh Jackman in the news saying that he might be done being Wolverine. Now, I read this. Did you read about this?
I did not. That is big news to me.
Yeah, well, he said that he might be done. And when I read it, I don't know if that was just, well, I'm going to tie it to something else. We also had Andrew Garfield talking about Spider-Man and how Sony, has announced they're doing 4 Spider-Mans. They're contracted to do 4 Spider-Mans. He said, "Hey, I'm contracted for the 3rd, but I'm not attached to a 4th one. So, I'm not thinking I'm going to be Spider-Man after 3." Same thing with Hugh Jackman. It may very well be a huge ploy for the big payday, for the Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man payday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those guys are getting a pretty hefty amount, but I don't think they're getting Iron Man money. And I think that could be what that is, Hugh Jackman says, I think I'm done. they do another Wolverine movie. They bring him back for Age of Apocalypse, which is going to be, this huge movie, and Wolverine's important there. I think that's when he can step down and they reboot a new Wolverine. But he's going to, I think he's doing that so he'll get the giant payday.
Right. Make the big epic finale of Wolverine and
right.
And then, of course, then Wolverine Reborn.
Oh, yeah.
Makes total sense.
Well, at that point, after Age of Apocalypse, why not go back and do one, like, start a new thread of X-Men, all new actors playing the X-Men, or take the ones that you've been building from this X-Men First Class, and you can have that storyline go forward. You no longer have older Wolverine. You introduce a new Wolverine into that group. We would all know, he eventually is Hugh Jackman,
Right.
But you just like they did, when the new Professor X, I completely buy him and Patrick Stewart at the same time being Professor X. So I think that's, could be what's going on, but I really do think that he was doing that as a ploy, and I really think Andrew Garfield is too, because if Sony's announcing they're doing 4 movies and he doesn't have his contract for the 4th, well, they're not going to say, this is our storyline, and here's 4 movies, and, we're going to get, somebody new to be Spider-Man in the 4th. I don't think that's the case. I think the 5th is where they try a new Spider-Man. But I also think that they may be wrong. The actors or the agents may be wrong with this, because let's look at James Bond. I mean, so you get one guy playing him for 2 movies, then they move to a different guy. Does it take it away from you? No, you're just like, oh, sweet, new James Bond.
Right.
Oh, sweet, new Spider-Man. I loved Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield I thought did a great job.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, if you don't make a big deal out of it or apologize for it, it's like,
don't apologize for it. Just make it happen.
Right. This is
make
Bond.
It a killer movie.
Yeah, the old Bond. The old Bond was the old Bond. This is the new Bond. He's the new Bond.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they can do that with any of these characters too, especially with the superheroes, because they're wearing masks and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the beauty to Iron Man is they've created such a character with him that it's going to be hard to see a different actor play that part. It really is.
Right.
But
yeah, but you know what? Go ahead.
I don't think you're going to get that with Hugh Jackman definitely is the Wolverine, but if somebody else,
but you could get a completely different look. You could completely redo the character and make something else happen. But I say the same thing with Iron Man. I think that he's been awesome as Iron Man. But you know what? Do an Iron Man movie just like they did Dark Knight. And I'm not saying make it dark and make him the gravelly voice. I'm Iron Man. I think that you
Barry.
Yeah, Barry
you made it.
But I'm saying just redefine the character with somebody new and make a movie that has a different tone than the prior 3 or 4, depending on how many they do with him.
Right.
And they could do the same thing here with Wolverine. I think they should do another Wolverine film with Jackman. And I think he should do another Wolverine and then the Age of Apocalypse, and then step down. You're getting older. Somebody else comes in, and you have established that as its own storyline. Now you can essentially reboot him with a different actor, even though you're not completely rebooting the series. That's probably the wrong term for it. You can redefine it. And then you can do the Bond thing and just redefine it over and over and over.
Right. And
that's my opinion.
No, I think you're right. I think they want, if they're going to continue with the series and as a franchise, they have to not be afraid of switching actors.
Right.
But here is the quote from Hugh Jackman. It's an article with Vanity Fair. And Jackman says, "I don't know whether or not I will do this next movie. I am really proud and am excited to develop something with Jim Mangold from the beginning because that is a great ride. That's exciting to see what we can come up with, but I have a very high expectation of what it would need to be, comma, for me to star in it, end quote. And if it doesn't reach those, comma, I won't be doing it.
Yeah, you know what? Once again, I think that's a ploy to get the huge payday.
Right, and, it does say, if it doesn't reach those. So it seems like...
Right, and we know his standards are super high because Wolverine Origins was, number 2 on the AFI's greatest films ever made. I was completely being facetious there. So, yeah, don't give me your standards line there.
Right.
Hugh Jackman.
But,
you're just trying to get the big payday, which I can't blame him. I mean, you are Wolverine. Get the big payday. Pay the guy whatever he needs to make those last couple movies, and then you got time to figure this thing out properly.
Well, with Apocalypse, that would be the 9th time he's played that character. I mean, he's got to be a little done with it.
Yeah, but you know what? Batfleck is signed for, what is it? I think 9 movies.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Now, that's different iterations. It's going to be him in Batman Superman. It's going to be him in Batman standalone movies. It's going to be him in Justice League. But I believe that he signed for 9 films as the Batfleck.
Right. Well, I think that's part of the new strategy is, a lot of cross-pollination here.
Well, sure. And it's working for Marvel. It's smart. Keep it going. It's what we as comic book fans always loved with the comics was all that cross-pollination that was happening.
Yeah.
So, keep doing that thing. And they've got the right idea. They're taking good actors. They're making the character very defined within the actor. Look at Magneto. I mean, the thought of another older actor playing Magneto, you go, who could do it? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Somebody could.
Right. Yeah, you get that. And that's like you say.
Ian McKellen's not going to last forever. And at some point, he's going to say, I've been Magneto enough times. It's going to be one of these upcoming films where he's done with that.
Right. And as much as I, at this point, kind of see Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. almost intertwined, if they did another movie and it was good, it would be, he was great, but let's move on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that it's
Things
not
happen.
earth-shattering no matter what.
So I think, if audiences and they get tired of that, I think what they should do is put us in those parts, and we could make that fresh. You could be the new Iron Man, and I could be the new Wolverine.
Well, you know what, Jack? No offense, but Wolverine in the comics is a shorter guy.
Well, and I am indestructible because I've had so many surgeries.
That's right. That's right. Wow. I don't know if I'd be Iron Man, though. I think Lazy Man might be a little bit more accurate. I could be Charlie the Janitor in the new Marvel Universe.
I know. Charlie the Janitrix.
The Janitrix. That would be that's when they reboot Charlie the Janitor as a female janitor. They spell Charlie with an I instead of I-E. And he's the Janitrix, or she is.
Or maybe, so maybe we should just put that in the show. But maybe Charlie, after the school closes down, Charlie the janitor dresses up and becomes
the Janitrix.
The Janitrix, the dominatrix of cleaning. Oh boy, this is taking an awful turn.
Yep, I think we're done for this week. So
I think we were done about 30 minutes ago.
I think so too. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening, everybody. Please come back when we come back in January. We're going to take a little Christmas break, just like everybody else at this time. But this show is not just about S.H.I.E.L.D., so don't think that we're going to take a break every time S.H.I.E.L.D. stops. But this time I think we are. And sometime in the next week or so, somewhere in the interim between the two, watch for our Christmas show, which
Ta-da!
is going to be on. Should be a lot of fun. We were talking about it tonight. We said it's either going to be really cool and really fun to listen to, or an absolute train wreck, which still might be fun to listen to. Then you can point and laugh at me, which, I'm good with that too. So
I'm good at that.
Yes, yes. So you can hear our different shows. We have, I think, 13 shows right now. Plus, we have new ones on the way on at our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can also find us on iTunes and on Stitcher. If you haven't downloaded Stitcher onto your iPhone, do it. It's really a great app. I listen to almost all my podcasts that way. It organizes so well. It's just really easy to use. Can't recommend it enough. Either way, iTunes or Stitcher, definitely rate us, give us reviews. We do appreciate 5 stars, but we'll take anything. Anything really helps. If you are liking our show, I don't care what you think about, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you're liking our show, you're having fun with it, and you're giving us good reviews, when you do that, it actually helps give us a better ranking on iTunes, and it makes us more visible to more people. So it will draw people to us, which is what we need. We're trying to keep this thing going, and I don't know about you, Jack. I'm having a blast with it. I love it.
I am, and the better we do, the better Charlie the janitor does.
That's right. The more likely someday there'll be a movie. He'll have his own movie with Hugh Jackman
and
as the Wolverine.
I probably still won't have the music finished for it.
No, that's perfect, Jack. That's eventually we'll have a theme song. You know what? You have a theme song, though. Untangling Jack. Ooh, I even had lyrics to it.
That was beautiful.
So you can follow me on Twitter at rsouthgate, and Jack, you are at
S1e10 Grosky.
And I don't know. We also have one for the show, but I the only thing I seem to tweet out on that is when we have a new show, which is at Nuff Said, I believe, or Nuff Said Pod. You know what? Don't even worry about it. Go follow me at rsouthgate and follow Jack at S1e10 Grosky. You'll get everything you need that way. I think that's it.
I think that's enough.
Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will talk to you again very soon. In the meantime, I forgot what I am.
Ridiculous.
No. You know what I actually am is Rantapole, Rob Southgate. That's wild and disorderly.
There you go.
But that is not what I was going with. I was Raniform, Rob Southgate, which is frog-like. And Jack, you are?
Jowly, S1e10 Grosky.
Jowly. You should be Jargonelle, which is an early pear.
Oh, very nice. But that's a noun, not much of an adjective.
Yeah, but this is the English language. We do what we want with it. I'm Jargonelle S1e10 Grosky. You could be Jade, which is a pitiful horse or a nag.
I think you're getting way too into this, and we're supposed to be ending.
How about a Jampin? That's an Indian sedan chair.
Yes, I am Jampin S1e10 Grosky. I like that.
All right.
I was good.
That's it. We're out of here.
Bye-bye.
Nuff said.
Nuff said. Oh, 2, 1, 3, 4.
That goes on our input, Chunky.
Oh, well, you'll have to edit it out of that one.
Yeah, right. Ba ba da ba ba da ba 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 da ba.